guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Abby, and today I'm crocheting Bulbasaur. The only Pokemon I've done so far on this channel is Mimikyu, and I've wanted to sort of branch out in that area because Pokemon are probably some of the most fun things to crochet for me. I kind of want to challenge myself to doing all original 151 Pokemon from the series. I don't know how long that's going to take me. As you know, with my challenges before of crocheting all of something, I only got to 2 out of the 4, and that's just 4. But the overarching goal is to get all of the original Pokemon done, starting with the very first, Bulbasaur. As always, I decided to do a pre-drawing of what I'm planning to do. This is my soft plan. When it comes to crocheting and working with things that I haven't made previously, there's a lot of give and take, and I don't always follow the plans exactly. I'm not 100% sure how much of this plan I'll follow, but I'm going to try to follow most of it. So hopefully it will end up looking like a Bulbasaur. So I think that's enough standing around talking about it. Let's get into the crocheting. I want to talk about the Detective Pikachu movie because I think it's still kind of current without being too spoilery too quickly, because I do want to talk about certain plot points. As a warning, if you haven't seen it, be prepared for spoilers, okay? I know it definitely would have made a lot more sense to talk about Detective Pikachu while I was crocheting a Pikachu, but it's going to take me a little while to get to number 25, and by then, I don't think the movie would be current enough for me to still want to talk about it. Not that movies always have to be super current when I talk about them, because I could talk about the original Pokemon film. However, I haven't seen that one recently, so maybe I should rewatch it and get back to you. At any rate, Bulbasaur is in the film, so since the character is semi-prominent, I thought it would be fine. And I can talk about whatever I want, honestly, so there's that. When I first heard the movie was coming out, I was curious whether or not it was going to be like the video game that came out a few years before I even saw any trailers. And I don't think it really has much to do with that game at all, and it's actually centered more on the original anime, which was good for me because I never played the game, but I always kind of wanted to because I loved the anime so much. So I feel like this movie kind of gave me the best of both worlds in that sense. What? Arwen sometimes likes to come talk to me, and she wants to come to the mic. Don't stand on my keyboard, please. I love watching film theories, and there's a really amazing one done by the Film Theory channel by MatPat. And I'm gonna go ahead and link that in the description below because I think you should watch it if you haven't seen it, because it's very interesting. Like a lot of people that were excited and going to the theaters for Detective Pikachu, I grew up with the anime and collected a ton of cards when I was a kid. Like, I can't even guess how much money I spent on those cards. Probably hundreds. And I still have those cards somewhere. However, I don't think they're worth anywhere near what I spent on them originally. At the theater, they gave us packs of Pokemon cards to go with our tickets. And I loved that because it brought me back to my childhood when certain malls would give away Pokemon cards at events. And I definitely forgot how addictive it is to open a nice new pack of Pokemon cards. It kind of made me want to go buy Pokemon cards, I'm not gonna lie, just so I could open the packs up and see what I got. So it almost got me because I haven't bought any yet. That doesn't mean I'm gonna buy any, but hopefully I don't. I don't need to spend more money on the cards. I've spent way too much money on cards. I had a lot of expectations for this film, and they were pretty high after seeing the trailers. When it comes to the animation and the casting choice of Ryan Reynolds, I am in huge support. If you're looking for something with a complex plot and a real mystery that has you guessing the whole time, you will not find it here, at least in my opinion. But I also think that's fine, because when I think back on the original anime and what it was, this film kind of fits the aesthetic. My first thoughts on the main characters, Tin Goodman and Lucy Stevens, is that their acting wasn't that great, but then I don't think they were really meant to be high level. Ryan Reynolds is truly the star of this film, and I'm okay with that. When I sat down to write about this film, I realized that my favorite lines and actions were done solely by Pikachu. As I said, the plot wasn't as complex as I originally wished it to be. Going in off of just the trailers, I could have guessed who Pikachu really was, but then watching the film, it seemed to be slapped in your face a bunch of times. But again, I think that's close to the original anime. Never did they really try to fool the viewer on the disguises of anyone. What? You always knew who was who. You always knew it was Team Rocket because their costumes weren't that great. So at least it was a little bit more complex than that, but not by much. The one thing that did surprise me though was when Roger ended up being a Ditto, and the only reason that came out of nowhere for me was because I forgot that they had mentioned Ditto could turn into humans. And I had to look that up after the film because I couldn't remember if Ditto actually could turn into people. And yes, Dittos can turn into people. It actually does happen in the anime, which I must have forgotten at some point, because when I looked it up, it had an example there. But then again, that opened up a lot of questions for me. Like, why wouldn't more people use Ditto to commit crimes? Clearly, if you can just have an obedient Pokemon turn into someone and all you have to do is cover their eyes so people don't see that they're actually a Pokemon, you could get away with a whole lot of things. In my mind, if you're a con man, Ditto is going to be your absolute best friend. All I can think about right now is the original A-Team show and how there was a guy who wore a lot of masks so he could be other people. And that's just what I'm picturing when I think of Ditto infiltrating things. Anyway, there were a ton of redeeming qualities to this film that for me outweighed anything I could find wrong with it. I love the style of animation and how it felt almost like film noir, because that's kind of my favorite genre of film. So I really appreciated that. I love the Fight Club scenes too, because it reminded me of the original plot of Pokemon. I was actually a little let down by the fact that there wasn't much more Pokemon fighting, but it was pointed out to me how that might be disturbing for younger audiences when the characters are super cute. So I can let that slide. I was also a little sad at the end of the film when Tim's dad is finally unfused from Pikachu, and that the Pikachu goes back to being normal and can't speak anymore. Since that was my favorite part, I wished it could continue, but I understood why it wouldn't for a clean wrap-up of the film. Overall though, I'd have to say that I loved the film and how it played out, even if it was extremely predictable. Bulbasaur is actually a major help in the film when Pikachu is hurt, and while I was crocheting my Bulbasaur, I had the film card that I got from the theater on the desk for me to look at, and I often remembered the scene of the Bulbasaur helping Tim get Pikachu to Mewtwo. I also had that soft plan I was looking at before that said the Bulbasaur would end up being 37 pieces, but he ended up being 12 pieces and the rest of the details were hand sewed. And that's just because it was going to be easier for me and I needed to get it done. Oh, and that's another thing. I'm not sure if other people are like this, but for the most part, each Pokemon has a very specific gender to me. For example, Bulbasaur and all of its evolutions are inherently male, while a Pokemon like Jigglypuff is always female in my mind. So if I call each of these Pokemon while I'm doing them a certain gender, I know it doesn't make any sense and seems arbitrary, but that's kind of how my mind has sort of pasted onto them for some reason. So I'm sorry about that. I am really hoping to eventually get all of the original 151 Pokemon done, however long that takes. Honestly, it could be years. Especially if I only do a video a month. That 151 months is many years. But anyway, after doing a little bit of math with all of the footage that I collected, the overall time that it took to make this Bulbasaur was 5 hours and 47 minutes. That seems like a lot of time, and that's probably why I felt like there was a ton of footage. I'm not sure why it took that long, but it took a little while. I think if I did it a second time around, it would take me less time because I wouldn't have to worry about writing down any patterns, and there was probably some downtime even in the footage that I had. So that's a rough estimate on how long it took. I would say close to 5.5 hours is how long. Overall though, I'm really happy with it. Even though it took that long, that's not the reason why this video is coming out super late than normal. I wanted to apologize. I've been playing a lot of games recently. I just got Breath of the Wild, and so it's kind of taking up a lot of time, more than I was expecting, I guess. So sorry that this took so long. Hopefully next month I'll be able to get more out sooner. I'm also expecting to do more than one video next month because I have family coming to town and I want to do stuff with them. So hopefully I'll get some more done next month. But thank you for being patient with me. It always means a lot. Holy cow. Kratos is out of control. I hope you've enjoyed watching this project unfold. Let's get into those glam shots. And here he is. Ooh, he fell. I have to say, a lot happened in the week that I was planning on doing this project. Things that I was not expecting that took a lot of extra time and care. This video was kind of delayed by about a week. I don't know, that's life sometimes. I have to say, I absolutely love how he turned out. I think he's adorable and a very good start to the whole Pokemon series. I contemplated giving him a mouth and little nostrils like the actual character, but I think he looks cute without it, and so I'm just gonna keep him like this. To be honest, if I had a bookcase, I would probably put him on the bookcase, except for the fact that my cat Kratos would probably take him off of that bookcase and carry him around in his mouth like prey, because that's his favorite thing to do with my crocheted stuff. That Deku link I made in the very first Crochet and Chat episode, he stole that off my nightstand and carried it around the house for a solid day before I noticed. At any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this little guy, because I definitely enjoyed the process of putting him together. If you have any other ideas of things that I should crochet, please leave them in the comments below, and let me know what your thoughts about Detective Pikachu were, because I'm curious. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye!